Right, let's rock and roll. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in Cosmos. My name's Cryptodanny, and today I will be explaining how to open a lease on Nolus and how everything works on Nolus. Just for the record, this is not financial advice. Always be aware that some of these platforms are experimental in the sense of crypto is quite new, so please always do your due diligence when you are playing around with different platforms. Now, that being said, let's start getting on with today's video. So Nolus is a DeFi leasing protocol. And what Nolus allows you to do is to lease up to 150% on the down payment that you pay. Now, if we go on to the assets page, you can already see that Nolus has quite a few tokens listed: Osmo, ST Osmo, Atom, ST Atom, USDC Axelar. It would be nice to see USDC, native USDC, come onto Nolus soon through Noble. You've got Bitcoin, AKT, Juno, Evmos, Secret, STK Atom, so multiple Atom options, TIA, Stars, Crow, and yeah, as you can see. Now, just before we get on to the lease part of things, you also have an earn page. Now, the earn page, you can deposit USDC from Osmosis, and then you can deposit it into a pool and you can earn yield from your USDC. Now, the yield is paying out 10.2% in annual yield, and you'll also earn 13% in, no, 12%, sorry, in NLS, which is the Nolus native token, which secures the Nolus chain, etc., etc. Now we move on to the leases. I'm not going to sort of hang around and make things too difficult. But as you can see on the lease side of things, now you have the down payment area. Now, this is what you're going to be making a down payment in, and you get the option of ST Osmo Atom, ST Atom, USDC, wrapped Ethereum, wrapped Bitcoin, AKT, Juno. You get the sort of gist of where we're going with this. Now, if we go down to the assets that you can lease, now the assets that you can lease are, as shown above, the same, very similar to sort of the assets shown on the asset list. Which is like wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ethereum, ST Atom, Atom, things like that, AKT, Axelar. Right, now, if we go back, now one of the main things you need to do, you need to either have a Kepler or a Cosmos Station or a Leap wallet. Once you've downloaded these into extensions, then what you need to do is, so the DAP is getting better now, because before you would have to sort of deposit USDC, and there was only a few ways of depositing these tokens. So, for example, if I want to receive Atom, oh, here we go. So you have to approve the chain, and there we go. I've got 10 atoms sitting in there. So let's get 10 atom to receive in Nolus, and the fee is going to be paid in Atom, which is quite nice. So make sure you always have these fees available. Maybe best to always have a couple of NLS just in case, as that's the native token for the DAP. And now you can see that is successful. Now the difference here is you can see that I deposited that by receiving and going onto the Cosmos Hub. Now, the best way to receive a majority of these tokens is if you go on here, then you go receive. You can receive wrapped Bitcoin through Axelar or Osmosis. There's certain ways of doing it. Let's just have a look at Juno. Juno, you can come straight from Juno natively. So the good thing about this now is you can deposit natively from the chain that you're at rather than having to go through Osmosis. But if you do want to deposit USDC, Then it's very simple. We go on to Osmosis. As you can see, I have $108 sitting there. So let's bring $108 over. Same thing again. Transaction comes up. Approve the transaction as you go. Right. Now let's move on to opening a lease. Now the great thing with opening these leases is the fact that, oh, there we go. Right, I think sometimes best thing to do is just refresh the page, and I'm hoping now when I go onto Atom, it shows 10 Atom on the network. In fact, let's just go back quickly and show you here. So now it shows I have my USDC Axelar and my 10 Atom. Right, let's move on to the lease. Now, I know a lot of guys and girls out there, you wanted to know how to open the leases. Well, first of all, you need to deposit through methods which I've just explained. So, for example, now, right, I'm going to put 10 Atom as a down payment. Right, this now gives me the option. And the great thing about this is you can make a down payment in any of these tokens available here. And then you can take a lease out in any of the tokens above. So you don't have to take a lease out in the token that you're necessarily making a down payment in. But in this case, I'm going to put the 10 Atom down. And as you can see, it's offering me a position of 24.85 Atom. So that means I am borrowing $162. I don't know whether I can move. Let me just try and move that out of the way very slightly. Yeah, so you can see here I am borrowing $162. The interest is free, but it will be back on in January. And the partial liquidation rate is minus 33% from the price it's currently at. So this lease will partially liquidate at $7.23. Now this is where Nolus is pretty much one of the top DeFi leases out there at the moment, because you have varied liquidation rates and borrowed rates. So you can borrow 150%, 125, 100, 75 down to 50%. And then what you can see is it changes the partial liquidation rate at which you will be liquidated. So for example, if you take 50% out and you borrowed a 4.9 Atom, you will be liquidated at $4.02. Now, Atom did not even hit that in the pits of a bear market. So I'd like to think that if you were going to take that option, you'd be very safe. But again, this is not financial advice. Please always do your own due diligence when you're using platforms such as Nolus or anything in DeFi. Now, what we will do, I am going to be a bit of a degan, and I always go for the 150% borrowed. So now I'm going to open my position. Right, is this where I'm going to need to, I might need to send some, have I already got some Nolus? I don't think I have. This is why you need some Nolus fees to always be in there. Right. We have now successfully opened up the lease. Right, if I come down here, okay, right, I want to know where it's got. Oh, no, there you go. See, I did have a little bit of Nolus sitting there already. Right, as you can see now, what happens is now the protocol is now using my down payment, and it's also borrowing USDC from the depositors who earn, and it is now going back over to Osmosis, and it is going to buy the 150% that I am borrowing at the market price of the token today. Now, that's where the benefit is of Nolus, because I can open a position now where I have 150% more exposure to Atom, and it's obviously thanks to the protocol at the price that it is now. So obviously, if Atom all of a sudden goes up to $15, that means there will be a 50% increase in price. But because I've borrowed 150% on top of it, it actually means that you get 1.5 times whatever your original percentage is. So say the 50%, but because they've lent me another 150%, if the token goes up in 50%, you're actually 125% in profit. So your P&L will be 125% up because of the appreciation of the tokens that you've borrowed. Right, and as you can see now, it has opened my lease and my down payment is $108. The price per atom is $10.86 per token and the liquidation rate is $7.26. Now, this normally disappears after a few hours. Now, if we wanted to open a lease on with USDC, it's exactly the same process. You will go onto USDC. I'll put in 108 and I'm going to open another lease in Evmos because I like the news that they've given recently. Right, now this $108 now allows me, if I want to borrow up to 150%, it gets me 2,112 Evmos. This is me borrowing 150%, so $162 borrowed. The partial liquidation rate will be 8 cent or 8, 0.084 cent. And again, I'm a little bit of a degan, so I'm just going to open this position now. Same process again. You will need to approve the transaction and making sure you have fees there, and exactly the same process again. The Pro Tool's going to go and take the money over to Osmosis, open a position with the tokens at the current price, and yeah, there we go from there. So the interest, if I just explain the interest quickly, as you can see here, the percentage is the debt that will increase over the year. Now, what you need to know is the interest is only charged on the outstanding debt as well. But obviously, if the token appreciates, then the outstanding debt, it doesn't climb, but the token side of the outstanding debt it obviously appreciates. So the interest, as far as I know, will rise with that part of the token. But even if you look at, for example, now $162 annually a year, that is $17, then like another $8.50. So it's around $26 to $27 you'd be paying with it at the price that it's currently at. You can also go and vote via Nolus Explorer and check out all the governance that they have there. Obviously, Osmosis is where you're going to make some deposits if you want your USDC to be transferred over. And then if we just come back here, obviously you can go on to your history section and it shows you when you opened it and when you closed the leases. Obviously we go back to the earn page, you can earn that. We've got the leases and we have the assets. Now when we come back to the assets page, you can now see that my portfolio is worth $378, and that is just from the Atom lease, I'm pretty sure, and the $108 US. So I'm seeing if we can refresh it and see whether, right, yeah, see now you can see I've opened the lease and it's also given me the Evmos. There we go, 100. So there's the down payment, 108, price per Evmos is 12 cent and the liquidation rate is 8.5 cent. And that pretty much covers how to open a lease on Nolus. Now you can do this with the multiple tokens that I've shown you. The zero interest was, oh no, you can maximize it now until January the 31st. So interest free is going to continue until the end of January. If you need to find out any stats or anything like that, protocol stats, then come onto here and you can see that the total value locked is 4,135,000. The protocol utilization is 65% through Osmosis. And what I like down the bottom here is how it also shows the loans provided. So you can see that Atom and Osmo, AKT and Atom, they are pretty much the more dominant tokens that you get leased within the ecosystem. So, yep, I hope this explains everything on opening a lease on Nolus. Always keep track, and I mean it's basically like taking a 1.5 leverage on a position, but with much better liquidation rates, and it's you know, you can sit in a bit more of a comfortable position when the market takes a dip. Right, that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and yeah, look forward to a 2024 with everyone. Take care and enjoy your day. Thank you very much.